Good evening, friends, or shall I say, Kon Banwa? It means good evening in Japanese. Lessons from the Japanese for a long and happy life, inspired by the Japanese. Thanks to Hector and Francis for not making us wait too long for the next part of the Ikigai franchise. We really can't get enough of this life-changing book. And once again, welcome everyone and welcome Francis to our online platform. Our mentors have changed our lives too by ensuring we achieve financial independence. Thank you, sir. And the duo, Francis and Hector, take their international bestseller, Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life, a step further with the Ikigai journey by showing us how to find our own Ikigai through practical experiences such as employing new habits and stepping outside your comfort zone. Ikigai is the place where our passion, what we love, mission, what we hope to contribute, vocation, the gifts we have to offer the world, and profession, how our passions and talent can become a livelihood, converge, giving us a personal sense of meaning. This book helps you bring together all of these elements so that you can enjoy a balanced life. Let us find out more about the Ikigai journey from the master guide who has joined us today, Francesc Miralles. Are you ready to embark on the journey, friends? So let's board the bullet train and see how the Shinkansen effect can bring about a radical change in our lives. So Francisc, all the 35 stations in the Shinkansen journey have a story to tell. We learn how to use bullet train thinking to reboot our mindset for success. It talks about accelerating your quality of thought to achieve your goals earlier and visualizing every aspect of the process to the last detail. So first, I would like to request you to elaborate on this part, and then we'll go on with Q&A from our Suryoday members.
Yes, actually we wrote the IKIGAI Journey because after our first book, Ikigai, people all around the world were saying that it was a very interesting book, a very interesting introduction to the concept of Ikigai, but that they missed to have exercises, a practical approach. How can I do that? If I want to discover what is my purpose in life, and if I don't know exactly what is my purpose, how can I go forward? How can I discover? How can I find my way in life? And with Hector, we wrote the Ikigai Journey with all these different trips in the Shinkansen route, just to give the tools to the readers so that they can discover the best of themselves and empower themselves to put forward what is your life project. Interesting, the study of Malcolm Gladwell, because he calculated these 10,000 hours to be an expert of something. In my case, before writing Ikigai, for sure, I've been 10,000 hours writing, editing, correcting. I started as a translator. I studied German and English literature in university. I worked 4 years as a translator. I worked another 4 years as a publisher. I corrected a lot of books. I wrote 100 books before, many with pseudonym. And after these 10,000 hours, I felt empowered to do this, and I had the clear idea of how to write a story like this. And it happens with everything in life. If you are a musician, if you want to do a big business, if you want to be somebody in the field, I don't know, of the social media, you need a lot of practice, even if you are talented, because without this effort, many people who have a lot of talent, they don't keep position it's very popular here in Spain, the soccer players, football, we say here. And there are a lot of cases of a boy who is 18 years old, 19 years old. He has a very good season, he's on the top, and then this person disappears. Why? Because there isn't this effort to be always there. So I think it's important, the rule of Malcolm Gladwell, because you need to achieve success, you need many things. You need to have a talent, you need to have a purpose, you need to have a good direction for your project, and then to sacrifice your time to go in that direction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's so nice. Francis, in your second station, you have mentioned about Mount Fuji. So Mount Fuji is a metaphor for omnipresence. And
Yes.
you have drawn a beautiful analogy that when our minds get clouded, we can't see properly, and reaching the goal becomes like a difficult proposition. That's what I understood. Could you throw some light on this?
Yes, I would say this is the situation we are living right now. Many people think that we are in darkness, like if you were in the bottom of a well or something like this. But if you don't think in darkness, if you think we are in a tunnel, there is a light in the other side. So the situation we are living is not definitive, it's something temporary. And so now everything is very difficult, economy has stopped all around the world. There are a lot of difficulties, but of course there will be an ending on that. And this time of difficulties, it's a time of great opportunities, because what we learn from the experiences of 1929 in the United States, from 2008, is that during these difficult times, there are people who discover what society is waiting for. And so if you are aware of the opportunities, the new situations, the new needs that there will be in the future society, when this crisis ends, you can have a very powerful project for your life and for the life of the others.
Absolutely. We all, like, you know, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We're in the tunnel, so light is coming. We must hope that it will be as quick as possible, but we are not in the darkness here to stay. It's something, it's a stage, and it will temporary. Be another stage. It's temporary, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Irisha, you can come in with your question, please.
Thank you, Rachna. Good evening. My question is, I'd like you to travel back to your first publication, and what is your message to the authors who are aspiring, to the writers who are aspiring to be authors, who are aspiring to be published? What is it that you would like, would like to give one advice to them? What is it that one must do and mustn't do?
I have a lot of experience with young writers or with new writers. Maybe it's somebody who is 80 years old and writes first book in his life. And then many people is anxious because they want to know if they will be published, if they will earn money with that, if they will become famous. And then to these people, I tell the same advice that Thoreau, the American philosopher, was giving in his time. Thoreau was the author of Walden, Life in the Woods. And he was an American intellectual in the 19th century that was very, very famous in his time because he wrote this wonderful book. And many young people came to his hut because he was living in a small house next to a pond, saying, Mr. Thoreau, what should I do to be a writer? And then he said always the same. Before sitting to write, you must stand up for living. So if you don't have interesting experiences, you don't have anything to tell. So I would say first stage is to open your eyes, to be aware of what is happening around you, to live fully, to discover, to experience, to make a lot of experiments, to be curious. And then when you have gathered a lot of information and a lot of interesting insights, then you can sit and write it. But I would say, first of all, having something to tell, then writing it for yourself, for your enjoyment, because you want to keep it forever there. And then the fate, the destiny, life will tell you if it is for 100 people, if it is for 100,000 people. But if you don't enjoy your exploration, if you don't enjoy your writing, you cannot convey this feeling to the future reader.
Thank you. Thank you. It was very precious.
To you.
Wow, writing for yourself.
Precious.
Yes, yes,
I want to add here, our very famous poet, Goswami Tulsidas, who wrote Ramayana. If you have heard Ramayana.
Ramana Maharshi.
No, Tulsidas. Tulsidas. Tulsidas.
Tulsidas, he wrote the epic Ramayana.
Who?
Tulsidas.
Tulsidas. I don't know.
Okay, Tulsidas, very, very famous.
Tulsidas. I see that. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, he wrote, he started his book Ramayana with
Yes.
what you are saying, Swanta Sukhaya Tulsi Raghunatha Gatha. Why I am writing this book? Only to get happiness,
Yes.
not for publishing.
Yes.
For my own pleasure, I am writing. I don't care. As you said correctly, that whether 100 people read or 1 lakh people read, it hardly matters.
Okay.
The same thing was mentioned by Tulsidas.
I think this is the best position when you are creating something that is artistic, that is intellectual. You shouldn't think of the result. You shouldn't think of the money. The money is the consequence of what happens after the book is done. But if you, while you are writing a book, you are thinking, oh, it will be famous in the United States, oh, it will be popular in Europe, in India, here, there, then you put on yourself too much pressure. You are not being spontaneous. So it's what you said, that you must write for the only sake of the pleasure it gives you, because you have the interest, and let's see what happens, and if you have some kind of reward. But the first reward is the pleasure of writing it and sharing.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Francis, today Pooja Agarwal has got her reward. So we had a contest where we all had to pen down one thing, one takeaway from your book. And Pooja is the winner today. So she's got a reward. Pooja, can you come in with your question?
Okay.
Hi, good evening, Francis. Francis, in the book Ikigai, we discussed that there's no future, there's no past, and there's only present. And in the book, the Ikigai Journey, we are using the technique to make our past fuel our present.
Yes.
And present to light the way to a future. Could you please explain this new technique?
Yes, actually, this is an ancient technique. And if we go back in time, maybe we relate this with the Japanese Zen Buddhism, but actually we can find the roots of this in old Indian beliefs also. These yogis, or all these mystical people like Ramana Maharshi, people who was living always here and now, because in the Western world and in the modern world, I would say also in India, there are two sicknesses. One is past and one is future. When we are always focusing past, in past lives the sadness of what we have lost, things that we regret to have done, and in future we have the fears, the anxiety. What will happen? Will I be poor in future? Will I become sick of this and that? And then all these mystical people, that the cradle of all this is India, they say that if we are in the present times, if we live in today with mindfulness, this is the modern word for that, then we will achieve much more than projecting our fears or thinking what will happen or trying to tell the future. And we cannot tell the future. The only thing we can tell is what we are going to do today and make of this day the best possible thing for us.
Wow.
Very good.
And there in the section 3, journey through the present, that you had mentioned, there's a mention of an ancient shrine that is destroyed and rebuilt every 20 years. So
this is very Japanese. Actually, it has to do also that Japan is a land with a lot of earthquakes, even Tokyo. And then they are so used that everything will be destroyed and everything will be rebuilt, that even the buildings that are in good condition, after 30, 40 years, they destroy it and they build it again. And this is very symbolical also of the cycles of death and rebirth that for the Hinduism and Buddhism would be in other lives, but it happens also in a single life. We die many times in the different parts of our history, and we are reborn many times. For instance, when you are no more a kid, when you start having interest in love, in possible couples, when you finish university, you die as a student and you are reborn as a responsible person that is going to do something with life. So I think this concept of the Japanese destroying and rebuilding is a nice metaphor of what happens with our life, because we are going to live many lives inside this.
Okay, like the rebirth. That's why they destroy and build it again.
The different chapters of the same book, and the book is the life.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Yeah, next, Meghna, you can come in.
Hi, Francis. Great to have you back at our forum.
Thank you.
In the 5th station, you mentioned about how important feedback is. Can you throw some more light on it, please?
Yes. For instance, before we have been talking about writing, maybe a first book, a first project, something that you didn't do before. When you want to become a writer, you need the feedback of people who loves you enough to tell you what could be better. So it's not good, the feedback of your mother, of your lover, says, it's wonderful, you're going to win the Nobel Prize. No, let me know where can I grow from this. Don't destroy the whole book, because if you destroy the whole book, my self-esteem will go down and then I am paralyzed and I don't, but tell me, and to say, okay, this book that we have here, this is from a student. It's very interesting, the first half, but I feel that you should put more attention to this character or to this topic. Or to this. So people actually who is very successful also in the field of business is people who is asking all the time for feedback. What could I do better? What shouldn't do anymore? What should I continue doing? So if you have good mentors, good witnesses, people who is at your side and that is going to help you to put like a kind of mirror to say, here is where you are, but you can be a little bit low. Then you have a treasure in there.
Like a critical feedback. We should be open to
critical, but constructive. It's not to say this is horrible, but to say this is nice, and I will show you where you can make it even better. And this kind of people we need in our lives. Sometimes they are our professors, teachers. Sometimes it can be somebody with whom we are working, or even your couple, or people who are critical enough to make some contributions. This is called in Japanese kaizen, to say little points to make it better. If you are able to do it 1% better every day, in 100 days, you are 100% better. That's the idea. That's very Japanese, actually.
Wow.
Thank you, Francis. And our mentor, Mr. Bishnul Hanuka, has actually been he's amazing at giving us very constructive feedback. So whatever you said resonates where he's concerned. And
yes,
we are lucky.
We are lucky in that sense. Absolutely, Meghna.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
now,
Suchi?
oh, now I can listen. Yes.
Yeah, Suchi, please
Good
ask
evening.
your question.
So my question is that you mentioned in your book, our reason for being is not the same at age 15 as it is at age 70. But why should I keep on changing my goalpost? Instead, can't I keep on liking the same thing and evolve in that particular field only?
So can you repeat a little bit that to change your
Like our
field
goal
of interest?
changes with age.
So you mentioned in your book that at age 15, we have a particular ikigai, and at 20, the ikigai changes.
Yes, that's the most common thing. Yes. there are very few cases of people who have only an ikigai their whole life. It happens with some professions like being a doctor or being a priest or being a religious person, maybe. There are children that when they are very small, they know they want to be doctors and they become doctors. But normal is that you go changing your field of interest with experience. Maybe when you are 15 years old, you want to be a professional singer. And maybe you start learning music and singing in some places, and maybe you record some videos in YouTube, and maybe during 5, 6, 7 years, this is good for you, and this is your ikigai. And then you discover maybe in one point of this trip that this won't be the center of your life, because maybe there are people who do it better, or maybe your passion is not strong enough to put this in the center of your life. And then you decide, for instance, that you want to study fine arts and that you want to dedicate your life to build a company or something. And then you start another ikigai. And then maybe it comes a third one. And sometimes also it comes because of the changes of life. If you have to change your city and you're moving to another place of the country, you are going to know different people, different influences, and maybe what you had thought before that you wanted to do in your life is not the same living in a little village than living in Calcutta, in Bombay, in Delhi. You open your eyes to something different. So it's quite normal during a life, I would say, to have 5, 6 different ikigais. Some experts say that we change deeply every 7 years. From 1 to 7, you are a little child. With 14, you are already interested in love and other things. With 21, maybe you are directed to the working life. And every 7 years, we are changing. It doesn't mean that we will have 10 ikigais, but maybe you are going to have 3 or 4 in your life.
Yeah, Francis, that's so interesting. Francis, in the book, you've mentioned about 3 false impossible ventures, which you have overcome. Learning to swim, finishing a college degree, and having a girlfriend.
Yes.
Yes. So are there more to it? And would you like to share with us? What is the 4th one?
I don't know, because I think all the impossible things that I had in my mind, many I have surpassed them. For instance, I thought it was impossible to publish a book, and then I published a book. I thought it was impossible that I got a translation. Then one of the books had 55 translations. And so I am not a greedy person. I am not thinking now, what could I have that I don't have? For me, maybe now my impossible thing would be how to have time, free time. So how to organize my life so that I can work, I can give attention to people, I can contribute to society, but keeping for me 2-3 hours a day in which I could read freely, I could do some sport, I could play piano. So my dream right now would be to be a better organized person so that I can have some free time every day for my spirit.
Wow, that's so nice. Anyone from the Suryodaya group who would like to share one thing? Yes?
No, it's okay.
Would you like to share which you have overcome and you thought you wouldn't be able to do it? Come on, Sonali, you are the coordinator. Yes, Sirisha, yes.
No, I was apprehensive of putting the pen on the paper and writing. And thanks to Suryodaya, thanks to Dhanuka sir, thanks to all the literary forum, and thanks to the books like Ichigo Ichi, which is my favorite as of now. I've started writing, and it's a very, very liberating experience. Something, it's that you feel that it's not possible by you. I mean, I don't know what makes you feel that it's not possible, what makes you feel it's impossible. But when you achieve it, it does much more than what the target achieved. It does much, much more than that.
Okay. So you are in experience of writing for the first time of your life, maybe something big.
Serious writing, yes, serious writing. Earlier, I used to just pen down, like how you said, I used to write journals.
Yes.
But right now, I'm getting into serious writing with longer.
For writers, for me, the spirit you need to have is the same as people running in marathons. You know, it's more important to have 1 hour a day doing that than writing many, many hours and then you stop and you are 1 week that you are not doing anything. I think it's much more productive that you make some ritual. For instance, if you should wake up at 8, you wake up at 7, and from 7 to 8, while family is sleeping, this is your sacred time for writing. And you do it every day. And if you do it every day, in the end, the book will be written very easily. But we need to introduce spiritual obligations in our life, because if we are doing only what all other people expect us to do, we will never fulfill our own dreams. So you must keep at least an hour a day to do every day this dream in the right direction.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm rich today.
Thank you.
Yes, Sangeeta, it's your turn.
Good evening, Francis. Thoroughly enjoyed this exquisite piece of literary work. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I feel we need to keep revisiting the IKIGAI journey to capture the true ethos of learning. While taking the journey through our past, the 27th station is the koan. The power of the 27th station is koan. The power of lateral thinking.
Oh, yes, the lateral thinking.
So,
yes.
Yeah, could you elaborate this tool? How can it help us in living our ikigai? So I got very interested while reading this. What does a one-handed clap sound like? How can we put our lateral thinking into this?
Yes, this is very interesting because lateral thinking normally it's used by people working in very creative industries like advertising, like storytelling for movies. And in our normal life, we use the logical thinking only. Logical thinking is controlling the present, controlling the future, to make prospects, to say, okay, in 1 month we are going to do this, in 3 months we are going to achieve that, in 6 months we are going here. But it has disappeared right now because nobody knows, not even the politicians, not even the doctors, not even the investigators, what is going to happen. So the lateral thinking that it's to wake up your intuition. So you have two sources of knowledge. One is the logical thinking and the other is the intuitive thinking. So the logical thinking is working with facts. I know this, and if this happened in this way, it will happen again in this way. And intuition is to think, okay, we can create a beverage, a drink that is in dark color and has bubbles inside, and in future it will be Coca-Cola. Actually, it was a fruit of an intuition because nobody had seen something like that. So people who are extremely creative, they put a lot of power in their intuition, and to empower your intuition, for instance, things that you can do. Noting your dreams, because in dreams happen very strange things, and there are people from other worlds that are coming to give some messages, and you write your dreams. Then maybe to do some exercises playing with words. You take a dictionary and you take 2-3 words and you connect these 3 words and you write something with this. And then also, I would say, going to nature. If you go to the woods, if you go to the river, if you go to a natural place and you put your mind empty, then these inspirations come along. So the idea is to close the machine, to think that everything has a cause and an effect, and to open your mind to crazy ideas, because from these crazy ideas, sometimes it comes the big inspiration and something that can bring you to another place. This would be the lateral thinking.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Francis, like when the world in this situation, it's reeling under uncertainty, and the Japanese, they are making 100 years plan to reach Osaka, as mentioned in your book.
Yes.
You know, they are developing this bullet train. So what are your personal long-term plan, and have you already written it down? As you have said in the 14th station, that written word is a powerful instrument for making our plans bear fruit. So your take on it.
I think it's good, without being obsessed with that you know, what are you going to do the next 6 months? What do you want to achieve with 3 years? And where do you want to be in 10 years? Because this is the power of visualization. If you know where do you want to go, then you can plan, you can make a map of little steps to go there. And then there are different exercises that you can practice. For instance, if you want to know how to create your future in 3 years, for instance, in 2023, I don't know, then you imagine a perfect day. This is an exercise called perfect day. Say, okay, the kind of life that I will do in 3 years, how would be a normal day for me? Then imagine that you want to become a professional writer. And then you say, okay, my perfect day will be that I will wake up early in the morning, I will write my dream, and then I will have breakfast with my family, I will talk with my children, I will bring them to the school, and then from 10 to 1, I will be writing in my next novel. And then at 1 o'clock, I will call my literary agent. We will talk about translations, about new contracts, and will not. And then I will go for lunch with another writer. Then this exercise of visualization, that where you say the kind of life that you want to have, after this, then you can make a plan, a route to say, okay, to arrive to this situation, what do I need to do? And then it will come the 10,000 hours of part of this 10,000 hours of Gladwell to say, okay, I need to do a course of creative writing. I need to read 1 book every week to steal some tricks from other authors. I need to find a literary agent. I need to introduce myself in these circles of interesting people. And then if you know where do you want to go, then it's easier to plan, to program which pathway will bring you to this situation. And this, you can do it for long-term plans, middle-term plans, and shorter. Okay, no, it's...
Rachna, are you there?
Yes, it was frozen.
Yeah, no, Rachna, are you there? Okay, Alka, you can come in with your question.
Yes.
Yes, Francis, my question is that, have you found your purpose in life now?
Yes, my purpose in life, as I told before, has been changing. When I was a child, like many children, I wanted to be astronaut because it was the end of the Apollo missions, and many children, we had these toys. And then I wanted to be a teacher of German. And I did that, and many years it was my purpose in life. Then I wanted to become a publisher, and I was a publisher. I wanted to become a writer. And I would say, nowadays, my purpose in life is helping other people to discover their talents. For me, it's very special. I feel very happy when I have somebody in front of me that has a hidden talent that maybe this person doesn't know it. And helping through books, through talks, in a personal meeting, this person to take it out and to offer it to the world. This will be my purpose of life right now.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Francis. Preeti, please come in with your question.
Hi, Francis.
Hi.
In your 15th station, you have mentioned that all I needed to know, I was taught in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
So, Francis, why do we forget all these things over the years as we grow? And what are the tools that can make us remember?
Yes, that's important. There is this famous YouTube conference called the last lesson, in which Randy Pausch says, if you feel lost when you are an adult, you must remember who you were when you were a child, because children are naturally connected to their ikigai. Children they have no filters. So there are children who dance naturally, there are children who speak, who invent stories, children who are better alone at home, doing something small, something intellectual. But sometimes we forget this essence because we go to school and we go to high school and we go to university, and then we are always going after goals. I must get this, and I must take these exams, and I must study this, and then in the end you forget what you were when you were a child. So if you feel lost as an adult, it's good to go back and make questions like, what was my dream when I was a child? What was I enjoying doing, especially? What did I promise to do? And so this connection with your inner child can save you from a moment of nonsense in your adult life. So I think that the great creators, they keep always a bit of the child inside, because in the child there is the pure energy, there is what is your authentic self, and you mustn't forget that.
Oh.
Thank you, Francis.
Yeah, next, Sareen, you can come in, Sareen.
Yeah, thank you, Rachna. This is very inspirational, yeah. So I have also started thinking about my past and what I had left behind, and then I have taken certain decisions. And now, for example, thanks to Suryodaya, I was able to come back to reading and writing. And I'm continuing, writing has been very liberating now. So I've been doing that. But my question to you, Francis, is about what did you learn about yourself, your self journey while writing this book? And before I close it, I wanted to thank you for writing the Ikigai and the Ikigai Journey. It's been very inspirational.
Actually, with Héctor, we have learned a lot writing every book, because there is a very therapeutic result of writing, is that in our brain, there are thousands of thoughts circulate at the same time. No? So you have thousands of ideas, and you don't know exactly which idea is more important than others. So if, for instance, you want to understand your relationship with your father, and you think of your father, you think so many things. Yeah, you have so many feelings. But if you write it, among all the thousands of ideas, you must choose one. And then you follow this idea that brings to another one. So because our hands are much slower than the speed of our thoughts, then what we are doing is filtering the information and choosing only what is essential. So with Héctor also, when we were writing the IKIGAI Journey, we had thousands of inputs and ideas, but in the end, we had to choose what for us was more important. It was something good for the readers, but it was something good for us, because we could discover what was important and what is secondary. So that's the great thing of writing, that helps you understand what is priority in your life.
Absolutely. So Nanda, your question?
Yeah, actually, Francis, you answered most of it when you spoke about going back to childhood. But I'd just like to read out a little phrase which was written in a village in Ogimi in Okinawa. And it says, in fact, it's apparently carved on a stone out there, which says, at 80 years old, I am still a child. Mm-hmm. When I come to see you at 90, send me away to wait for 100.
Yes.
I just found this such a powerful line where, no matter what your age is, you keep thinking of going back to being a child, and you never think you have aged.
That's very important. And I think when we think of artists like Picasso, when Picasso was 80 years old,
he drew like a child.
He was drawing very simple things, and they said, how it's possible that you are so old and you write like my child? And he said, okay. And he said, I've been many years studying, painting, but I have needed 80 years of my life to paint like a child again. And I think these people who has the secret of long life, like the ones in Okinawa and Ogimi, they are very childish, actually. People who are laughing all the time, people who like to play, who like to share, they have many attitudes that are very proper of the children. And I would say that something that children know much better than us is that they don't give too much importance to anything. So the adults, sometimes when something happens, not this pandemic, but small things that happen in life, that maybe you have a little failure or something, somebody is writing an email in a bad manner, etc., we think that this is a drama, and we think that it is terrible what we're living. And children are not like that. And actually, I would say, I think it was Groucho Marx, the great actor and the great, he was a comedian. He said that he gave a formula. He said, tragedy plus time equal comedy. So everything that seems to be terrible, with the look of time, in the end is something that we can laugh about. And this is to have a child focus on problems that we think these are very important.
Yes, very rightly said. Francesc, you've spoken about the children, they don't pay attention too much on small little things. So the 31st station, it's on the touch of warmth. So it's very deeply missed given the present situation. And I would like you to elaborate, as you have said that beautiful words also caress. So, and you would agree if I say that your words also, they act like a balm for us as we really missing our near and dear ones. So if you could just, throw some light on the 31st station of touch.
Of touch, yes. I think we have suffered a lot in this pandemic, that we were missing touching our parents, touching our friends, because we have been living apart, looking at people in the screens, wearing these masks and all this. And touch actually is so important for the human beings that there are many studies who say that, for instance, a person needs to be hugged 7 or 8 times a day. There are people who are calculating this. So touch, I would say, it is our primary language of communication between humans. So it's important to use the words. It's important other ways of expressing love. But actually, when we are babies, and if we contemplate animals, what they communicate touching one with the other. And we have lost that during these strange months because of sanitary reasons. But I think that we have developed other things. Here in Barcelona, we had 2 months in which we couldn't see anyone. We were closed down very strictly in our apartments. And so people who you were seeing every day and you were touching every day and kissing and hugging, you could see only this person in a screen. And then I think that we compensated that with a warmer way of writing. So before, maybe you wrote a WhatsApp, you wrote a message of more normal things. How do you do? How is work? And then because people couldn't give themselves touch, they started writing more emotional to say, I love you very much, I miss you very much, I remember when we were together in that trip. And so we have, I would say, we have moved this feeling of attachment in the text to the words. And now we are writing with more heart on it.
Absolutely. Yes, next, please come in. Avina?
Yeah. Hi, Francesc. In your 8th station, you had written, through what you don't like, you will get what do you do. So, so please throw some light on it. And my question would be that there are many certain things still I don't know. Maybe my ikigai. So
okay, this is a very interesting technique that maybe many people is anxious because they want to know what is their ikigai in life, what is their mission, what is their purpose. But sometimes the easiest way to get that is to write what you don't like. And this is something that said Alejandro Jodorowsky. He's
Bhavna,
yes.
Please be on mute. Bhavna, please be on mute.
Okay.
Alka, you are the host. Please mute her.
Okay. The negative test is that if you don't know exactly what is your direction in life, you can write all these situations and all these activities that you dislike especially. For instance, if you don't like working with numbers, if you don't like solving problems, if you don't like working with money, then you know that this is not your element, that Ken Robinson said. This is not your comfort zone. Maybe this is not your talent to do that. Then you go eliminating things of your life that you know that is not your natural place to be there. And the circle is coming every time closer and closer. And in the end, you will become aware of what is the yes of your life when you have put many no's there. Could she listen to that, or she was out?
Yes, Abhina?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. But Francesc, there may be some things which I still don't know and can be my ikigai. Can that be the
Yes,
thing?
of course.
Then how
Because
to find out that?
the human spirit evolves like the science. It's a proof and mistake. In the science, when Edison was investigating to do the first bulb of light, he tried more than 1,000 different threads. And it was not working, it was not working, it was not working. Sometimes Edison thought he had found the right material to produce light, and journalists came and it was a total failure. So in our life, it's very good to say, I don't know. Actually, the Greek philosopher said that the only wise people in this world are the ones who know who doesn't know anything. These are the only wise people. So when we don't know, we have a huge field for experimentation. I don't know how to do this, but I am going to try this. And if it doesn't go, I am going to try that. And then you go experiencing like somebody in a laboratory, but in life, different options. And in the end, something will work and you'll say, Eureka, this is what I was looking for.
Thank you. So, Francesc, my question starts here. You mentioned this word eureka. So the word, the way we connected is nothing short of serendipity, if I could say that. Yes?
Yes.
So does serendipity have eureka flavors in it? That's my question.
There are many words that are similar. The concept serendipity, normally the origin of the word is when you write something in a book and it happens in future. For instance, you are in 2018 and you're writing a novel in which there is a huge pandemic in the world and everything is locked down. Then this is a serendipity. And then Jung spoke of synchronicity. This is very interesting. Synchronicity is this chance when something happens, but it cannot be by chance. For instance, when you remember, after many years, you remember of an old friend, somebody you love very much, and you haven't thought of this person maybe in 3 years. And then you think of this person and something happens that you meet this person on the street, or this person writes you an email, or you have some contact. And Carl Gustav Jung said that these synchronicities happen in our lives, but when you are looking at many synchronicities, so when chance is very present in your life, it means that is coming a big change for you. Because normally, he said, when a big change is approaching to our life, life is communicating to us with this little signal. No? This little thing happens, this little thing happens. It's like a subtle language of reality to prepare ourselves for this new thing that is coming.
Oh, wow. And you know, Francis, when you visited Calcutta, one of our colleagues, she mentioned that Francis is coming and we have to call him to a forum, but it could not happen. But see, this pandemic, it was like, you know, an opportunity for us, and we got you online, not once. Now it's the second time.
It's good. So this is the proof that even in the worst situation, there is something good that we can take from it. We can decide if we only complain to say, oh, how terrible is the world, or what are we going to do with that? Can we take advantage of something? This is to have a positive mindset, like all you.
Wow, wonderful. Yeah, next, who would like to come in?
Rashmi, can I come in?
Yeah, please.
Hi, Francis. This is Rashmi here. Everything which you are talking about right now, I could relate to the Bhagavad Gita that we've been reading. It feels as if it's coming from the Gita.
Yes.
So my question to you is about the intuitive thinking that you were mentioning a little earlier. If I want to enhance more of my intuitive thinking, one way you said was to write down your dream thoughts. What more can be done to enhance your intuitive thinking? That is my question.
Many things. For instance, music. There is something very good with music. If you can play some instrument, a piano, a guitar, a traditional instrument, it's very good because music has something unique. Is that you are creating something, you are communicating, but you don't know exactly what does it mean, what you are doing. So when you listen to some music without words, some piece of Chopin, some piece of Bach, or something that is instrumental music, it's a secret language because it means something for you, it means something different from another person. And normally, the specialists say that music connects us with inner forces. Especially, for instance, if you are listening to some records or to some authors that were important when you were a teenager, or it's like a bridge to other parts of yourself. So music will be one thing. Then other arts like painting without a goal, to take a white sheet and start doing a drawing of what you are feeling in this time. And in general, any artistical means can connect you with this inner creativity that you have. So it's when your rational thinking is switched off. And I think this is very interesting how it's called in this book, Flow, from Chester Mihai. He says that when you are doing only one thing with all your power, with all your attention, then you disconnect from reality. You don't know if it's passing 1 hour or 1 second. If you are here, if you are in Calcutta, then you flow with this activity. And when you flow with something, that it can be dreaming, writing, playing music, dancing, everything that you can do only that thing, that you can have full attention, then you can connect very easily with your creativity and with your intuition. Then new things come without effort, actually.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, Namita, it's your turn. Please come in with your
Hi,
question.
Francis. My question was, whenever whatever we've read about a lot of people and, stories where people have found their purpose, you always see this recurrent theme that it's during a crisis that people usually come to that turning point and find their purpose. So I just wanted to understand from you that does there always necessarily have to be a crisis to find that purpose, or
not always, but crises help, because when you lose everything, you don't have any other option than reinvent yourself. And then when we are asked, Héctor and me, which moments of a man's or woman's life are very important for Ikigai, we say one moment is when you finish the high school, because then when you are 16, 17, you must take a decision of what will be your future. Then you must choose to start a job, to go to university. I will study this or that and that. And then the Ikigai is very important here, because you are asked to decide your whole professional future, maybe in some months and some weeks. Then I would say when you get retired, in Spain is when you get 65, maybe you have been 40 years working in an office or working with a profession, and then everything finishes and you have your whole time for you. and you don't know what to do with your life. Then you must rethink your life and to say, okay, I don't work in this bank, in this shop, in this factory anymore. What is it going to be the center of my life? This is another moment of Ikigai. And then the crisis. So, for instance, when you lose your job, when you lose, when your company close, when you change city, when you get divorced and you are in a different environment, then in these cases, you are forced to reinvent yourself because the world that you knew, your comfort zone has disappeared. And then normally the religions, the monotheistic religions, they talk about the crossing of the desert. After your world has finished, when what was the center of your life isn't there anymore, then you have a crossing the desert. It means that you will have months or maybe 1 year of your life that you will feel totally lost because you are looking for the promised land. You are looking for the next thing that will be important in your life. And it's normal to be lost because only if you are lost, you can find yourself again.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Jyoti, you may come in.
Yeah. Namaskar, Francis. I would like, yes, I would like to know how do you describe, or I don't know what word should I put in, that you have seen some dream or just a thought, imagination, and it comes into reality maybe after, I don't know, number of years or immediately. What do you say to that? Intuition or your forward looking?
Oh, but this is more than intuition. So if you can imagine things and the things that you are imagining happen years after, so I don't know if this is the right word in English. You are visionary. You have a vision. So, and then maybe you should create some startup company or something, because if you know what is going to happen in 2, 3, 4 years, you are priceless for a company because you can forecast the future. So it's a very rare capacity, ability that not many people have. So it's a very good thing to have.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Not at all.
Yes. Sonali?
Yes.
Yes.
Francis, actually in life, we always have great objectives, but sometimes we get occupied in day-to-day activities and they take a backseat. Thanks to your book with practical advices, it is really motivating to read. My question for you is, how do you think being a writer of self-development books has evolved you as a person?
I think that the writers of self-help books learn as much from their books as the readers, because normally there is something strange that happens with all that. I have been journalist of psychology many years, and I interviewed many, many authors. And normally somebody who is talking about love is divorced or has not found love yet. Somebody talking about health maybe has bad health. So I think that primarily you write a book about a topic because you are engaged with this topic, because it means something for you. And if I write a book about time, it means that I don't have a good relationship with ordering my time. So I think self-help writers learn very much from the writing, because you don't write only what you know. You write about other investigations, other books, other authors, and then you discovered in the end as many things as if you were the reader of the book.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow.
They say you teach best what you most need to learn. That's like this, yes.
Absolutely.
Francis, Pooja is getting impatient. The winner of the contest.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's do it then. Let's do it.
So before that, I would like to express my feeling as well. Like my favorite chapter, the end is the beginning. Sir, would you like to come in before that, sir? Sir, do you have any questions, sir?
No,
sir? Yes,
there is a suggestion to Francis.
Yeah, sir's question.
Hello, Francis?
Hello.
There is a suggestion that you must come to our Gita class.
Yes.
Because whatever you are talking, we can relate very much because of the Bhagavad Gita. And, you know, that is the only book I found that, that solves all types of problems.
Of course, I think that all these Japanese philosophies of the Buddhism and the Zen, the original source is in the Gita and in the Indian masters of 3,000 years ago. So I think for us, the Westerners, it's very complicated to read this book. We don't have the culture to interpret what is. I know that everything is in there. Everything is in there.
So, Francis, I will give you the coaching.
Okay, thank you
free
very
of
much.
Cost, free of cost.
Thank you very much. I hope so. Thank
So
you.
Francis, even though the end is the beginning, I would
Yes.
like to wrap up the session with implicit hope in the lines by you and Hector. Wherever you may be and whatever you may accomplish, always remember that everything is still to be done and everything is in your hands. And especially these lines, personally, it has resonated with me. Thank you so much. Thank you for the session. It was a lovely session. So many takeaways and so much to learn. And as we all are eternal learners, like the learning continues. As the journey continues, our learning continues. Thank you so much. And Pooja, now it's your turn, one-on-one with Francis.
Thank you very much, and thank you. Namaste, and thank you for your attention. And have a nice end of August. And let's wish the best in our lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alka, you have to stay for
No.
some time. Yeah.
No.
Okay. See you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now
Thank
it's
you.
Pooja and
Thank you.
Francis, one-on-one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Pooja, are you there?
Yes.
Pooja. Yes, yes.
Let's start, yeah?
Hi,
Hello?
Francis.
Hey.
Francis, you spoke about this Satori piano in your station 6, and where you tried to you tried to make the children learn to play piano with two hands, which
Yes.
is very difficult. And then you
Yes.
said that you can do this, you can do other things also in life very easily.
Yes. I think that's a good technique to try to do something that you find very difficult. For instance, my partner is a woman from Hungary, and Hungarian is considered to be the most difficult language in the world because it's not family of any other language, and it has an extremely complicated grammar, very difficult. Then what I did as a practice in the beginning was every Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning, I went to a lesson of Hungarian language very early in the morning to start the week. And then I was 1 hour and a half with an Hungarian professor trying to learn something of this thing that is so difficult. And the good thing of that is that when I finished at 9:30 my Hungarian class, everything what came in the week, it seemed very easy to me because I had started with that difficult thing. The Americans say, eat that frog, that when you have different things to do, start by the most difficult thing, and then the rest will be easier. And it happens with piano Satori. If you think that you cannot play never in your life piano because your left hand does one thing and the right hand does another thing, just do it. Go to a class, go to a tutorial in YouTube, do something, because if you prove that this impossible is not impossible anymore, then many other worlds of impossible fall in that time. And then you realize that you were putting a very narrow limit to what you are able to do.
Francis, I resonated with this because I remember 7 years back, Dhanuka sir had made me the speaker in an annual event of Millennium Mams. And that was a very challenging task for me to actually to speak in front of 700 ladies.
Wow.
And once I did that, sir gave us a handwritten note and he said, if you can do small things good, you can do big things even better.
Of course.
And
It's
that has always set in my mind.
It's a matter of repetition. Look, when I was a student, I was extremely shy person. I was so shy that I started working in a theater company, and I had little roles on the stage, and I quit it because I felt so insecure being on the stage. And then when I studied literature, I was a good student, and the professor said, you can stay in university and do your doctorship. And I refused because I was afraid of speaking in the end of the doctorship in front of 7 professors to read my thesis. I thought it was very scary. And life has brought me to talk in theaters in front of thousands of people. How do you do that? Repetition. You are afraid of something. You do it once with a little public. You do it twice, 10 times, 20 times, 100 times. And in the end, it will become natural. So if you are going to speak in front of all these intelligent women, you practice with your friends, you start with topics that maybe you know very well, and then you will be making wider and wider your field of empowerment.
Thank you so much. Francis, I have another question, that how you become yourself, like how you invent yourself. You know, this journey of the Ikigai journey, it took 2 years, as I understand from the book. And again, to convert it from Spanish to different languages, that's another a big task. So how was this whole journey?
Yes, actually the journey of our writing Ikigai was quite, it was not a program, it was not a plan even. Actually, the origin of the first book of Ikigai was that I traveled to Japan for the 4th, 5th time, because I was traveling there for writing things as a journalist and many things. And then I got to know Héctor, and he was feeling depressed by that time because he had a little illness, a problem of health that was putting him in a bad mood. And then we decided, let's make a trip to some different place. And then Héctor told me, my father-in-law says that in Okinawa there is a little village that they have the Guinness World Record of longevity, the village of the centenarians. And then we went there as friends, only led by our curiosity, and we went there making interviews to all the centenarians, doing that. Then we wrote a book that we thought that this book would be only for specialists of Japan, that this book about the Okinawa centenarians would be something for people who is very expert in Japanese culture and they want to know something else. Then the book was published, and it resulted that it was interest of many countries of the world. So it can happen with everything we do with love in this life. If you write a book with love, if you write a song, if you create a new system of a school, you never know how wide it can be. Maybe you start following your passion in something small and it will become very, very big in the end. Gandhi started small and ended being a figure of the world politics. So the beginnings are always little steps, and the future nobody knows.
Thank you so much. That is really insightful. It's a vision, I think, you know, to live your life and to do it with lots of love. Francis, I would, the one line that I read, geniuses are not born, they are made, that you wrote in this book also.
Thank you.
Do you think you were a born genius, or you have also grown and born and become a genius now?
I think everyone is a genius in something. The thing is that many people won't discover it, never in their life, because we are so busy. We are always, our agendas, our calendars are full of activity, and there is a premise, there is something necessary. If you want to discover your genius, you need free time. So a little of free time, because if you are always running from one place to the other, from one obligation to the other, if you are always in compromises, if you are always working, and you don't have time for yourself, you don't create the space so that this inspiration, that this intuition, that this discovery can be done. So when the big people of the world are interviewed, for instance, I think it was Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, both, they were in a TV show in United States, and they said the main tool they have for success is a blank notebook. They have, both of them, a notebook and a pen, and they give appointment to themselves. So to be 1 hour with yourself, maybe writing your ideas, maybe writing your plans. And so I think everybody is a genius, but sometimes we don't give attention to ourselves to discover what we have inside.
Yes, so true. Francis, in the session earlier, you spoke about a marathoner. What does it go in a runner's mind? So yes. I happen to be a runner, and I've done a 42-kilometer marathon.
Wow.
With that discipline and that dedication. But I've seen one thing, that after achieving one goal, sometimes you just tend to get dissolved with that idea, and that is not that much your passion anymore.
Yeah, but
that level of training and that level of hardship.
But I think life is a marathon, a never-ending marathon, because you will never be happy with anything that you get. So if you are doing something and you do it good, and you are proud in the end to have done that, then the human spirit brings you to the next place. So when humanity went to the moon, yes, it was not the end of the dream. The second dream was going to Mars, and then it will be so something that is very characteristic of the human spirit, is that we never have enough. And this is bad, and this is good. This is bad if it's material desire, material wish to have more houses, more money, more cars. But if it's something that has to do with self-growth, it's great to not have enough, because it means that we are always moving, and until the day we die, we will be progressing. That's good.
We are actually discussing the book Do Nothing with in our self-development classes with Dhanuka sir. In that also, it is about slow pace, mindfulness and awareness.
Okay.
So important in life, so that you actually stop at every juncture of your life and understand where are you going and for what reason are you going.
Yes.
As you rightly said, that you have to know, because after every achievement we want to go to next.
Okay. Yes. Actually, people who are always progressing, they have a lot of mindfulness, because an enemy of plans is the multitasking. So nowadays, especially young people, but also most of the adults, they are not doing one thing at the same time. They are looking at TV series, talking to the couple, playing with the smartphone, and your mind is in many places at the same time, but it isn't in no particular place. So you are not progressing. And the secret of these people that are always living their purpose and achieving things is that they do only one thing at the same time with full attention. And this is the key of excellence. If you are not able to switch off all the devices and say, I am only dancing and only that, then you are never going to achieve nothing important.
Thank you so much, Francis. And one last thing that really resonated with me from the talk and our Bhagavad Gita lessons is that if you go to the basics, a human needs comes down to only two things. One is food and one is warmth. As you rightly said, in this pandemic, there are a lot of people who are away from their dear and near ones, and that warmth and the touch is missing. So what is that one thing that you actually missed in this pandemic of so many days of lockdown and staying away?
I think here in Europe, fortunately, people has food, and even if families which didn't have food, there were social services. But I think the main need during the lockdown was love. People were searching for love, and people were giving a lot of love, because during the lockdown, people became less egoistic. And for instance, I know that everyone who was aware that somebody was living alone, an old man, an old woman, a widow, somebody who is afraid of becoming sick, these people were every day getting attention of people who were always busy in the past with own businesses. It changed, and every day these people were calling each other, taking care of each other. So I think we became more human. And the good thing would be that when all this is history, when what we have lived will be an article in Wikipedia, that we can keep this humanitarian spirit of helping these people who is alone, who is weak. So it would be very nice that we can take this treasure to the normal times.
Yes, very true. Thank you so much, Francis. It was really good chatting with you. Thanks to Rachna, I got this opportunity.
No.
Thank you.
You deserved it.
A pleasure.
You made it. You made it. Thank you so much, Francis. Thank you for giving so much of time. Really appreciate it.
For you, and thank you for your beautiful job.
Yeah. Thank you.